Netflix's latest true crime blockbuster, Dahmer Monster, The Jeffrey Dahmer Story, is a hit. As of Tuesday, Dahmer, the show, is #1 on Netflix, but it's generating plenty of controversies. Let's break it down. Jeffrey Dahmer was real, of course, but the things he did were so horrible it almost seems impossible. He was pure evil, but you'd never know it by looking at him. When you hear him, that's another story. His killing field was Milwaukee, and he got away with murder for more than a decade. Born in Milwaukee in 1960, he had a troubled childhood. With an early interest in dead animals and dissection, Dahmer was a twisted wretch whose depravity was almost beyond comprehension. So, how did the quiet boy become a twisted serial killer? Well, as you already know, Dahmer had a penchant for dissecting animals that he had found on the road. After dissection, he would often dissolve the bodies in a barrel of chemicals. This occurred in his Ohio family's house. Dahmer has described this part of his childhood as hectic, noting that his father was constantly busy and his mother frequently anxious. He received little attention at home, which appears to have been the starting point for his issues. It's said at one point the young Dahmer had even tried to take his own life. According to his father, as a young child, his son developed a liking for bones. He liked the sound they made and spent a lot of time searching for them. Jeff realized that he was gay sometime around the age of 14. Due to the prevailing culture of the time, he had to keep that secret. He would sometimes watch a male jogger run down the road while he was hidden in the bushes. He fantasized about this guy and imagined somehow making this runner unconscious and then having sex with the lifeless body. He even once planned to actually go through with it, waiting in the bushes armed with a baseball bat, but the jogger didn't run that day. At the age of 18, he picked up Stephen Mark Hicks, an individual who was hitchhiking to Lockwood Corners, Ohio, to attend a performance. He and Jeff were both 18 years old. Therefore, it doesn't seem unusual that this young man would consent to return to Dahmer's apartment and engage in some drinking. Only Jeff wasn't really pleased when the man rang his own bell and motioned for him to go. No, it wasn't at all how Jeff felt. He used a dumbbell to knock the youngster unconscious, and then he killed him by strangling him with the dumbbells bar. After that, he masturbated on the body. After that, he dissected the body and packed up the various parts, and then buried them. That was Jeff's first murder, and as we say, it's hard to believe the man in the interviews could sit in his house paring flesh from bones. At some point, Dahmer didn't kill for a while as he enlisted in the army. That lasted from 1978 to 1981 as he was kicked out for his heavy drinking. Once Dahmer is out of the army, what does he do next? During the years until his next murder, you could say he was still active, regarding his devotion to being evil. He drugged young men and then had sex with their unconscious bodies. He waited until 1987 and then killed and dismembered another young man while living with his grandmother. Again, he masturbated over the corpse. On the contrary, he chopped up the body, put the parts in a suitcase, and then boiled the flesh from the severed head in chemicals. When he had a shiny skull at the end of his cooking, he used it as a masturbation tool. He was actually arrested and later charged for drugging and sexually molesting a 13-year-old, and then arrested on a similar charge again. But prior to being sentenced, he killed again. This time, he found a very handsome chap who was a male model. He met him in a gay bar, and even though Dahmer said he had not intended to kill that night, he felt he didn't have much choice as the model came and flirted with him. Again, after flaying the dead body and smashing up the bones, Dahmer got rid of what was left. Only this time, he kept the genitals and head, fully preserving them in acetone. He said he did this just because the guy was so good-looking. Sometimes he would take photos of himself with the dead. You can see some online. And sometimes he would just keep the heads for a while and chat with them and kiss them. Then he could have a kind of living slave. Dahmer would always say later that all he wanted was the company and for the men not to leave. However, his victim woke up and was not exactly vegetized, telling Dahmer, "I have a headache. What time is it?" Apparently, it was time to die, as Dahmer gave him a more spiked drink and strangled the man. Dahmer had so many body parts, and sometimes he would leave the fresh dead around so long he got a maggot infestation. With one body, he tried keeping it for weeks in water and salt, so he could keep it fully intact, but that didn't work. It should be known that Jeff kept cuts of human flesh and organs in the fridge, so he could later eat them. Dahmer finally met his match with a man called Tracy Edwards, whom Dahmer almost killed, but the sensible Edwards, who was 32 at the time, knew what was coming. He assured Dahmer he wasn't going to leave him, even though Dahmer had picked up a knife, used handcuffs on him, on only one hand, and Edwards knew what the foul smell was and what the steel drum had been used for. He stayed with Dahmer for 5 hours with a swinging handcuff as Dahmer occasionally held a knife to him and even said he was going to eat his heart. When he got his chance, Edwards punched Dahmer and ran for it. He told cops what had happened and what he had seen, and 2 cops went to Dahmer's place. There they found the Polaroids, with an astonished cop telling his partner that they were certainly not fakes. Dahmer then told the stunned cops, "For what I did, I should be dead." Investigators searching the house later found hearts, other organs, hands, penises, bits of tissue, an entire torso, skeletons, and of course skulls. Psychiatrists said he was sadistic and had an antisocial personality disorder, but he was sane. Jeffrey Dahmer is regarded as one of America's most horrific serial killers, eventually pleading guilty to the rape, murder, dismemberment, and consumption of multiple victims. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences in 1992, but only lived to serve 3 years. Seeing as he didn't receive the death penalty for his gruesome crimes, you're probably wondering how Jeffrey Dahmer died. Dahmer was beaten to death by a fellow inmate, Christopher Scarver, on November 28, 1994. Both men were housed at the Columbia Correctional Facility in Wisconsin. Because of Dahmer's behavior, Scarver tried to steer clear of him, but always kept a news clipping in his pocket detailing the cannibal's crimes. When Scarver suspected Dahmer had prodded him in the back, Scarver snapped. He grabbed a metal bar from the weight room and confronted Dahmer about his crimes. I asked him if he did those things because I was fiercely disgusted. He was shocked. Yes, he was, Scarver told the Post. He started looking for the door pretty quick. I blocked him. 2 swings of the bar to Dahmer's head were all it took. His skull was crushed and Dahmer was pronounced dead an hour after arriving at the hospital. He was 34. He ended up dead. And that was the end of Dahmer's life. We'll leave you with a Dahmer quote. "The killing was a means to an end. That was the least satisfactory part. I didn't enjoy doing that. That's why I tried to create living zombies with uric acid in the drill, but it never worked. No, the killing was not the objective. I just wanted to have the person under my complete control, not having to consider their wishes, being able to keep them there as long as I wanted. This is a long show, but we think the crazy story of Dahmer deserves it. Countless plays, books, films, TV shows, and documentaries have been made about this man. Well, there you have it. This is the horrifying story of serial killer Dahmer. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and smash the bell icon, so you won't miss any interesting videos like this. That's it for today. See you next time.